What's up everybody? Brent from Brenspeed. I have an F150 today. It's a 2018 and it's the EcoBoost. It's the 3.5. We did some cool upgrades. A lot of you ask about that. Hey, what can I pick up on my EcoBoost F150? Because you know what? It's a pretty awesome tow vehicle. But we did a bunch of mods. We're going to show you the before and after gains. So hey, if you haven't, please subscribe. That's what we're going to stay up to date. Stick around. We're going to watch some dyno pulls, go over the graphs. Let's go take a look at the engine compartment. All right, so here's what we have going today. The star of the engine compartment today is the Jlt Air Induction System. And of course, we put one of our tunes on this vehicle. We also installed a Borla catback system, Meth injection by Sim Performance. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that here in a second. And the big Whipple intercooler. So, you know, on the dyno, the intercooler is not going to show like a gain. The Meth injection might help a little bit, but really we're looking at tune, colder intake right now. And out on the street, once you are out and the vehicle gets hot, that's where the air-to-air intercooler comes into play. That's where the Meth injection is going to come into play. So Doug, if you don't mind, come down here and take a look. JLT is our #1 air intake we use for most of all of our builds, whether it be F150, Camaros, Dodges, Mustangs. These are sweet air intake systems right here. They're really easy to install. They fit great. But right now what we're going to do is we're going to watch a dyno pull. I'm going to go in the vehicle. We'll take a little bit of a closer look at that Meth injection system and how it works. All right, so let me explain what we're doing here. Automatic, 10-speed automatic, 93 octane. I'm making these pulls in 4th gear. Now, I know 4th gear is not the correct 1-to-1 gear to lay down dyno numbers, but we're not looking to lay down max dyno numbers. We're looking at our gains from before and after, which we're gonna look at. So Doug, come over here. So in 4th gear, 297 real horse at 5,100 RPM. Torque came in, this is peak, 389 at 3,200, let's call it. Go back up. Right now, we're at 415 of the tires at 5,500 and 475 torque at 3,800. Now, why am I in 4th gear? So, these trucks, if you have one, you know they have a factory speed limiter. They have a speed limiter from the factory of about 95 to 100 mile an hour, which I can get rid of in the calibration. But in a fair comparison, to show a fair before and after, I need to do this in 4th gear. That's how we're going to do a stock run up to about 6,000 RPM and not hit that speed limiter. And then with the tune on it, we can do the same gear, 4th gear. But here's what we're going to look at. These are peak versus peak. What's that mean? The DynoJet SAE, it reads the max real horse, okay? That's the numbers it's showing. But I really want to look at some different RPMs within the curve. Now, I will say I did do my before run a little bit earlier. I got into it at about 2,200. I just didn't get into this one until a little after 3,000. But come over here. I'm going to bring up a little cursor and let's just take a look. Let's look right here at 4,800 RPM. Torque. We're looking at torque, Dougie?
Yep.
430 torque with the mods we're looking at. Stock 311. All right. Huge gain. That's 120. So when you look at that peak versus peak, we weren't even looking at over 100. But in this curve right here, this gain is pretty much solid. It's actually bigger down here. Real horse up here, looking at about 4,800, 397 versus 287, so about 110. Now I'm gonna go a little farther. The factory tune always does this. Every EcoBoost, they drop. Once you get almost to 5,500, you get this drop right here, which we take care of in the calibration. I'm gonna move this cursor over. And this is where the number starts looking really stupid on the real horsepower. You know, we're up at about, 5,800 right here, 400 real horsepower, 250, let's call it, stock. But that's because of this step. But that's what all trucks do from the factory. So I just want to take a minute and talk to you about how the dyno reads, you know, real horsepower. When you guys look at graphs, you're looking at peaks. You're looking at like the highest point it reached. but you're not really looking like different spreads. So I think that's pretty cool. But this is a really nice 18 F150 right here. I mean, 3.5 EcoBoost. I'm going to get inside the truck right now. We're going to look at how the Meth injection system works. I'm going to talk a little bit about why you may want that if you have an EcoBoost. And then again, in the description, I'll put links to all the parts we talked about because you're going to have a lot of questions. You can leave a comment as well. I'll be happy to answer. But Doug, let's hop over, get inside, and take a look at the Meth gauge. All right, I just stole the camera out of Doug's hands because I want to show you what this gauge looks like. So we have this pillory mount right here, and then it's our Snow Performance Meth system. Now, this is one of the easiest things to set up. One cool thing is you get a boost gauge. So right now the truck's off. It says 0 PSI. All you have to do is hit this arrow right here, and it says injection start. You can pick where you want the Meth injection to start coming in. You don't want it to start coming in early, like 3, 4, 5, 6 PSI, because that's just when you're putting around. You're going to get some boost at light throttle, but once we get into the throttle, we get up to 10, that's when it's going to start coming in. The next choice is full injection. When do you want the Meth to be spraying in max? Well, by 18 PSI, that's when we want that. So that's when this kit is going to be max injection. You go over right here. It's going to say power nozzle on off. You always want it on off. That's something we don't even have on this truck. And then you get to do some text colors. You get to do a graph color. And then lastly, you have injection on. If you don't want the Meth injection on, which you don't have to have it on, you just hit the down button. That's it. Injection off. Save your Meth. But if you're going to be getting to the boost, you want to cool those intake temps, which are going to go up front here in a second and talk about why you want to do that. You want that on right there. And then you hit it again, and you're right back to where you started, which shows you have 0 PSI right now. The truck's off. When you get in the boost, you're going to get that sweet boost gauge and be able to control your Meth right there. So I just want to show you that real quick. I'm going to go up front, talk a little bit more about it because you might not understand what Meth injection is. So let's head up front and take a look. All right, what is Meth injection? Why do I want it? What's it do? I don't understand. Well, hey, if you have an EcoBoost truck, you know your truck runs fine. You might have noticed on hot days, maybe power comes out. Here's why. So from the factory, it's not this an F150 EcoBoost, it's all vehicles. As your intake, air intake, okay, not engine coolant temp, as air intake temps rise, timing pulls out. Okay, that's normal. It's for safety. Now, if you want to make that timing come back up, you cool your intake temps. That's why we did the big intercooler on this, and that's why we did Meth injection. So what it does is it injects into the intake system, cools your intake temps, allows the engine to run more timing, which is what the calibration is set up to do, then you make more power. So earlier when I showed you that gauge and I said, hey, we're not going to start activating this till 10, we're going to be max by 18, just so you're not wasting that low boost. You know, if you have one of these trucks, you know at light throttle, you get some boost. We don't want to waste the Meth injection at that point. But as we get into the throttle, we want to cool it, we want to make really good power. That's when you want the Meth injection to kick in. Hey, you can set it just to turn on at 1 pound of boost, boom. Don't really need it. So we do like this variable rate of an increase basically, where at 10 it starts coming in, by 18 it's full. So the tank right here, we got the tank that holds the Meth injection, and that is the fluid, okay? So the fluid goes right here. It's very easy to get to. Doesn't use a lot of it. You fill it back up. We get it from Snow Performance. And then you just can fill that. That's where the Meth comes from. A lot of people back in the day, they use like windshield washer fluid. It's kind of another type of thing to do that. I like using what Snow calls their boost juice. That's what we use here. I don't really support the whole windshield washer thing. Some people do it, but that's what it is. Easy way to lower your intake temps to make more power. And again, you know, it's not tune required. You can just put it on. You can put this on right here. You have an F150, put that on. If your intake temps drop, timing will come up. You're going to make more power. And I'll put a link in the description if I can get that right there and put it on your EcoBoost truck. So again, leave a comment. You have questions. Subscribe at Notify. Email quote@brenspeed.com. Say, hey, what's it cost to build my truck, my Mustang, whatever I might have. And then, of course, always, again, check that description. I'll have links. Thanks for watching.